Today is the fifth Sunday of Ordinary Time in cycle A of the church calendar. So just for everyone to know, there are three cycles in which we repeat the readings of the Gospel. So every Sunday we have Year A, Year B and Year C. So now we're in Year A, where we tend to look more at the Gospel of Matthew. In Year B, we would look more on the Gospel of Mark. And in Year C, we focus on the Gospel of Luke. So somehow in this 3-year cycle, we get to see all of what we call the synoptic Gospels. Synoptic in the sense that we can look at them together, no? Syn, together, optic, to look. So these three Gospels are what we call the synoptic Gospels, and this 3-year cycle in the church calendar helps us to go through and read the Gospel together as a church. You might ask also, what about the Gospel of John? So John is a special Gospel among the four. We know we have four Gospels, and the Gospel of John is read actually every year. So in the special seasons like Christmas or the Easter season or a Holy Week, we will notice that we will go to the Gospel of John. So somehow John is inserted into all of the 3 years, A, B and C. And if we look at the 3 years and we try to follow the readings of the church for these 3 years, we kind of go through all the four Gospels already. So somehow this is the church's teaching method or pedagogy in which we can try to read together the Gospels again and again and try to draw out the richness of the Gospels together as a church, as a Christian community. So we come back to the Gospel of Matthew since we're in Year A, and this fifth Sunday we are in chapter 5 of the Gospel of Matthew, verses 13 to 16. So last week, because of the Feast of the Presentation, it was introduced the reading on Simeon. But actually, in the ordinary flow of things, if there was no special feast day, we would have been looking at the Beatitudes. So this week we continue the Gospel of Matthew in chapter 5. There is also a saying that if we read the Gospel of Matthew, chapters 5 to 7, we actually go to the core of Jesus' teaching. So this is what we call the Sermon on the Mount. So from chapter 5, Jesus gathers his disciples. He's seated at the mountain, and he starts to teach. And if you read the Gospel of Matthew from chapter 5 to chapter 7, you kind of get like a feeling that he was teaching and you were there seated with all the other disciples and the people listening to Jesus. You get a whole excerpt. And after chapter 7, when we enter into chapter 8, we enter into different episodes again of the life of Jesus according to the Gospel of Matthew. Okay, so somehow during this time of these weeks to come, we are invited to go to the core of Jesus' teaching, which is actually based on the Beatitudes. So let's look at the Gospel reading of this Sunday, when Jesus says that you are the salt of the earth and you are the light of the world. And he says, if salt loses its saltiness, so what can make it salty again? It's only meant to be trampled on and thrown out and trampled by people. And he says, nobody lights a lamp and puts it under the bowl. Or a city can't be hidden. It's on top of the hill. And so he insists that we need to let our light shine through good works. And so when people see our good works, they will give praise to God our Father. So this week, somehow the readings are about good works, the importance of doing good works as Christians, as followers of Jesus, and that it's a very essential part. It is a part, it's not the only part, but it's an essential part of Christian life, doing good works. So somehow this week, I would like to invite you to reflect on this question. Is it easy for you to do good works, consciously as a Christian, to reach out and to do good things for other people? I ask you that question because nowadays it could seem like you have to think a lot before you do something good for someone. Why? Because our society nowadays could be more suspicious. It's like if I do something good for people and if I keep doing good for them, will they get used to it? And maybe they're abusing my generosity. Or when we do good things for people, for example, if a beggar comes up to you and asks for alms, would you so easily give it to the person as perhaps we could have maybe 20, 30 years ago? Nowadays we would think, maybe this person belongs to a syndicate, maybe he's not sincere, maybe he's loafing off, and he should be working or looking for employment. So somehow if you look at our society today, there's so many objections to do good things for other people. We can give many reasons if you like, but the fact is that it's not so simple anymore to do good, and we might feel like it could be a mistake even to do good for other people. But the fact of the matter is this, that in the gospel Jesus invites us to do good works. Your light must shine, he says in today's gospel. It must. He doesn't say like it could be, maybe not. If you feel that it's not just, don't do it. He said you must do it. As Christians, we have to keep doing good. Why? It's not because it's just a lifestyle, but because it's who we are. Doing good for others some kind of constitutes who we are, makes us who we are meant to be as human beings. When we do something good for others, it's not just that we feel good, but we become what we are supposed to be. So for example, in the first reading today in the prophet Isaiah, it says, do good, don't close your heart to your own kind. And once you start doing good according to the prophet Isaiah, all your wounds will be quickly healed. Nowadays we talk a lot about healing, psychological, emotional, and according to the prophet Isaiah, according to Jesus himself, when you start doing good, all these things that you have as wounds, or we have as wounds in our society today, will be healed. So it's like how when we do good for others, we become healed, we become whole again, and all these things, baggage that we carry with us, somehow just dissolves and goes away. So how important it is to do good, not just for the sake of others, it's for my own sake, not in the selfish sense, if you get what I mean, but in the sense that it is who we are. And when we behave in the way that we are supposed to be, then we start to be healed from all our ailments. There was a wise man who used to tell me, says, err on the side of charity. Err on the side of charity. What does it mean? Basically, sometimes we don't know what to do. Should we do good for someone? Shall we give alms to somebody who's asking us? Or should we keep it back? If we give, sometimes it's a mistake, because it's true that it could be a syndicate. It could be that the person is not sincere. Or if we don't give, it could be a mistake as well, because the person could be sincere and really needs it. So what this wise man was saying is this: if we make a mistake on the side of charity. Give. And what real harm can come out of it? As St. Paul says, the only thing that we owe to our neighbor is charity, is love for our neighbor. This week I would like to invite you to really do this exercise. Try to see each day how easy or how difficult it is to do good for someone. To be conscious about it, to do it consciously. You wake up in the morning, you pray, you do all your routine, and try to think of doing something good. Okay, for someone in your office or for your family, something not so exceptional perhaps, but out of the ordinary. And then see for yourself whether it's easy to do it or not. And try to do it for the whole week. I would invite you, keep doing good for that person for the whole week. And let's see how easy or how difficult it is for us. And as we do it, examine yourself. Let's examine ourselves and see what are those thoughts in our mind that actually stop us from doing these good things for the others. What are those objections that come? And perhaps when we are more familiar with these mental objections that we have, then we can see maybe we are being influenced by some of these mentalities that stop us from simply being who we are. We want to help, we want to do good, and we want to express our Christian selves by good works. I'd just like to finish this reflection with this experience I had this week. I had a chance to visit a center for multiple sclerosis patients, patients who live there, inpatients, who are being taken care of by this institution, which is quite good actually, quite a good setup. It's clean, it's organized, the facilities are great, the food is okay. And I went to visit someone with a group of friends. And as we were there in this clinic or center, somebody came up to me, a stranger, and said, you know, why don't you give me the harakiri? And I looked at the person and I thought she was joking because she looked quite normal, except that she had multiple sclerosis. And I don't know if you know many people who have this condition. And in this center, there are patients with different levels of multiple sclerosis, different development levels. So you can see that it's not an easy situation when somebody is already in a very advanced level of being affected by this condition. So this lady came out and said, give me the harakiri. And she didn't say it once. And she kept looking at me and said, give me the harakiri. And you know, after a while, it kind of disturbed me because why is she asking for it? And of course, being in the center, you don't have to think a lot to understand why. What do these people hope for? What they are doing there? What are they waiting for? So it really came to me, this question about what do people need from us as Christians? What is this salt that Jesus is talking about? He says, you are the salt of the earth. What is the taste of Christianity that we need to give? And for me, at that moment, as I went back to pray about it, what I understood was we need to show people the gift of life as it is. How sad it is to judge our lives, to value our lives based on what we can do, based only on our health, based only on the external circumstances, and not as it is. Life itself is a gift. Where has our society gone to such an extent where we value our lives only according to what we can do or what we cannot do? What about life itself? What about the presence of the person? Do we appreciate the gift of people around us just as they are? Or must we change them in order that we can enjoy our lives? I really invite you to pray about this. What is the taste of Christianity that Jesus is asking you to transmit in your place, you know, where you are, in your family, in your society, in your church, maybe in your local parish? What is he asking you to transmit? Because what I feel for myself is, you know, this sense of life as a gift as it is becoming less and less common, and it's making people sadder and finding it harder to enjoy life, you know, with the simplest things around us. So let's continue praying as we allow Jesus to teach us on the Sermon on the Mount of all these basic things. Your light must shine. Let's not be afraid to let our good works reach out to other people, and with this sense that it's a gift, that being a gift is not just a way of life, but being a gift is who we are, and all of us are gifts for each other. And let's try to find ways to let the sense of gift, of life itself, shine for everybody. The gift of relationship, the gift of family, the gift of everything that we have, that we are blessed with in life.